Hi everyone, it's Gene Calderon here again with Gene Calderon Apologetics Ministry and coming together with another theme day. And today being Friday, we are going to talk about what we call Philosophy Friday. Philosophy Fridays are the days where we kind of look at things and ideas, concepts to be able to see, does that make sense? Does it support Christianity or other world religions? And where do we get these ideas from? And so it really helps us to be able to understand how we ought to live our lives, because if we figure something out or discover something that definitely applies to us, we ought to live according to those truths. So last time we talked about a little bit of morality and how different actions and behaviors and thoughts that are inside us or outside of us affect each other. Either we're going to drift apart from each other or it'll draw us closer. But even when we draw closer, sometimes we start clashing with each other and sometimes even causing damage to each other. Or maybe it's not an external thing, maybe it's an internal thing to the point where the inside mechanisms that are guiding and steering us are messed up. And because of that, we're drifting away or smashing into each other. So it's either an outside thing or an inside thing. And so those are the ideas. If you're curious about that, go back and watch our previous videos. We do have playlists on my channel where you can look at all of the Philosophy Fridays or any other theme day. So today, we are getting a little bit closer to the point where our different beliefs are going to lead to having different behaviors. And some would think that it does make sense to just stop and just go along with the morality that the majority of the people believe to be good, acceptable, and even true. But can we? Remember that religion, again, religion's a good thing. Go back and look at that. I know we say no religion, just relationship. Well, if you decide to do that, well, guess what? You just created a new religion, okay? Religion is your set of beliefs. The question we need to ask is why you believe them. Let's go back. So remember that religion actually makes statements about facts, which must be either true or false. And if they are true, then one set of conclusions are going to point us in the right direction. If they are false, then we will be carried off into a different direction. So if we go back to that analogy about vehicles or vessels like ships or things like that, or the popular argument that something we do isn't wrong unless it hurts someone else. I'm sure you've heard that before. It's still being used today, but does that make sense? Because see, the person understands that they shouldn't do damage to the other ships, but that their own ship is going to be their own business, right? It's my ship. I can do whatever I want as long as I don't damage any other ships. Now, how big of a difference does it make whether the ship that we actually are on is our own property or not? Now can I do whatever it is I want to do with my own ship? Okay, but is it mine? If someone else made it, or in a sense, if someone else made us for their purposes, then we would have a lot more responsibilities than if we actually did own it ourselves. Right? It's owed to someone else. It belongs to someone else. And so now, because it's been entrusted to me, I have a lot more responsibility and a little bit more accountability with what has been given to me. You ever wonder why? Well, Christianity claims that every individual, every human being is going to live forever. We're going to live a good portion of it here on earth as we understand it, but we're going to live the rest of eternity, right? Eternity is a long time. You could live to be 120 years here, but eternity is going to be so much longer than that. And Christianity believes that every human being is going to live forever. And that statement itself must either be true or false. Now consider this. There would be far less things to worry about if we only lived 70 to 120 years or so, right? And so that wouldn't be such a big deal. But I should worry and take it very seriously if we're going to live forever. Let's say we have a bad temper, or let's say we're kind of self-righteous, and that gradually gets worse as we age, right? The older I get, the more temperamental I become, and the more self-righteous I become. Can you imagine going on forever? Because in 70 years, you may not notice much of a difference. But after, say, about 1,000,000 years, it could become what we might consider or call hell for us to exist in something like that. And if Christianity is true, hell is the exact term for what it would be. And so lastly, what about our own worth? Immortality has a connection between totalitarianism and democracy. If each person only lives about 70 to about 100 years, then a state or a union or a civilization could last for about 1,000 years or even more. That state or nation or civilization is actually more important than the individual. But if Christianity is true, It claims that the individual is far more important than any state or civilization, and those states or civilizations would only seem like a moment compared to a human soul. And so again, there's a much more responsibility that is fallen on us because of the fact that we will live forever and exist for all time if Christianity is true. And if that's important, then it becomes very important for us to live moral lives, good lives, not according to the population or the state or the nation itself, but according to the Creator who created us, and we actually owe this vessel back to. And that becomes very important in understanding what is morality, where does morality come from, how are we designed to live, and kind of follow the rule book for that, and then to be held accountable at the end of what we have done with what we've been given. Again, that becomes a little bit scary, maybe a little joyous, something we can celebrate when we get there, but it really depends on whether or not we've accepted these things to be true or not. And I pray that we do accept them to be true and understand that we understand there is a creator, we are the creation, and we one day will have to give an account for what we did with all that has been given us. So that's Philosophy Friday. That, I think, is why morality comes from the moral lawgiver, who happens to be the creator and the designer of all things, and we call that person God. What do you think about that? Have you considered these things? Have you ever just said, well, as long as I don't hurt anybody else? Or have you subscribed to that kind of idea? We got to think about when we sin, yeah, we might hurt other people, but the scriptures do say when I sin against God alone, and other people have to deal with the consequences of my behavior as well. And so that could become a burden. So let's think about that. What are your thoughts? What are your ideas? Morality is something that is constantly argued about these days, and I want to be able to have that discussion. So share some ideas, thoughts, comments, links, anything like that you'd like to be able to share, and we can talk about these things, and we'll dig a little bit deeper as we go on with Philosophy Friday. Again, thanks so much for watching. I'm Gene Calderon with Gene Calderon Apologetics Ministries, serving at Ratio Christi at Purdue University Northwest in Hammond, Indiana, or you can find me serving at Freedom Church in East Chicago. That happens to be my home church. If you have a home church, go to your home church, support it, serve in that church, do whatever you can to make that church thrive, or to make the Spirit just be able to be found in that community of people who attend that church. All right. So God bless you. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you soon with some more videos. God bless.